The bright light of the alien ship lit up the night sky over Seoul. People watched with fear and wonder as the massive vessel, 3 times larger than any human aircraft carrier, came to rest above the city center. Director Park stood at the designated meeting point, his face calm despite his racing heart. As head of Earth's space agency, he had prepared for this moment his entire career, but nothing could truly ready someone for humanity's first contact with aliens. The ship opened, and a ramp extended down. 3 tall beings walked slowly toward the human delegation. They had smooth blue-gray skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. Their eyes were large and entirely black, and they moved with a grace that suggested complete confidence. "I am Toril, ambassador of the Galactic Confederation," the lead alien said in perfect Korean, somehow speaking without moving its thin lips. "We have observed your planet for some time and decided you are ready for introduction to galactic society. Director..." Park bowed slightly. "We welcome you to Earth. I am Director Park, representing the United Earth Council." Toril's eyes narrowed slightly. "Your species has developed remarkably slowly. We expected more progress given the time you've had." This first meeting set the tone for what followed. Within days, ships from 12 different alien species arrived to establish diplomatic relations. Most treated humans with the same dismissive attitude as Toril and the Var. During the first formal conference, held in a hastily prepared facility in Bangkok, Director Park and his team presented humanity's technological accomplishments. They spoke of space stations, Mars rovers, and advanced computer systems. The alien delegates exchanged glances. Some made sounds that the translation devices indicated were laughter. "Your most advanced computer would struggle to manage a Var child's educational toy," Toril said. "Your space stations are primitive habitats that barely sustain life. And your Mars rovers? We crossed interstellar space before your species invented the wheel." Director Park maintained his dignity. "We are eager to learn and contribute to galactic society." "Of course you are," Toril said with what appeared to be a smile. "And we will guide you, like children learning to walk." The terms of Earth's entry into the Galactic Confederation were presented the following day. Earth would receive limited access to alien technology, but would provide resources in return. Human ships would be restricted to the solar system. Earth representatives would have observer status only in Confederation meetings. "These terms are not open to negotiation," Toril explained. "They reflect your current development level. Perhaps, in a few centuries, they may be revisited." As world leaders reluctantly accepted these conditions, Director Park met privately with General Kim, a stern woman who headed Earth's combined military space programs. "They see us as primitives, Director," Park said, looking out the window at a Var shuttle flying overhead. General Kim's face remained expressionless. "Let them. They're restricting our access to their technology. We'll be resource providers, nothing more." "Then we must find our own path forward," General Kim replied. She placed a small device on the table that created a field preventing any listening technology from working. "I've been authorized to share something with you." She activated a holographic display showing detailed plans for something called Project Aurora. "What is this?" Director Park asked, studying the complex schematics. "Insurance," General Kim said simply, "begun 5 years ago when our deep space telescopes first detected their approach. A contingency plan if first contact proved disappointing." Director Park's eyes widened as he understood the scale of what he was seeing. "This would require thousands of people, resources that couldn't be hidden." "We've hidden what needs hiding," General Kim said. "The project exists in gaps between official records, in spaces the aliens won't think to look. We've selected key personnel who will disappear over the coming months, apparently reassigned to mundane posts. And I'm only learning of this now? Plausible." "Deniability," General Kim explained. "You'll continue as our public face, enduring their condescension while we work." "Can you do that, Director?" Director Park thought of Toril's smug expression, the laughter of the aliens at humanity's achievements. He nodded slowly. "For how long?" "As long as necessary. Years, most likely. They must believe we've accepted our place." 3 days later, Director Park stood beside Toril as the Var ambassador addressed the world press. The alien spoke of the great benefits Earth would receive from Confederation membership, even as restricted partners. "Your species has potential," Toral said to the cameras. "With proper guidance, humans may one day reach true spacefaring status." Director Park smiled politely and thanked the ambassador for his generous words. Inside, he thought of Project Aurora, taking shape in secret. Let them laugh now, he thought. Let them believe we are simple and backward. The time for revealing the truth would come, but not today. Today, humanity would play its assigned role, the primitive species grateful for attention from their betters. The VAR and their allies would learn eventually that underestimating humans was a serious mistake. Remember that if you make any statements about the web search results, you should use citations like this. 7 years passed since the aliens arrived. Life on Earth had changed in many ways. Tall alien buildings now stood in major cities. Strange ships flew through the skies. Humans worked with alien technology, but only the simple kinds that the VAR allowed. Captain June sat in the back of a transport ship, heading to the VAR orbital station. He wore the blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps with its single silver star. Around him, junior officers checked their tablets, reviewing information for the upcoming meeting. "Remember," Captain June told them quietly, "speak only when addressed. Directly. The VAR consider interruptions extremely rude." The young officers nodded. They had all been trained well. But facing the aliens still made most humans nervous. The transport docked with the massive VAR station. Unlike human space stations, this one had artificial gravity and comfortable spaces filled with plants from a dozen worlds. As they walked through the corridors, VAR officials passed by without acknowledging the humans. In the meeting chamber, Captain June and his team took their seats at the small side table. The main table, large and shaped like a crescent, was reserved for full Confederation members. Earth representatives were only observers, not participants. Ambassador Toral entered with his delegation. 7 years had not changed his attitude. Toward humans, the Confederation Council will now discuss resource allocation for the Sol system, Toral announced. Earth representatives may observe. For 2 hours, the aliens discussed mining operations on the Moon, Mars, and the asteroid belt. Humans had no vote in these matters, though these were resources in Earth's own solar system. "Our surveys show significant platinum deposits in your moon's southern crater region," a VAR mining official stated. "Current human operations there extract at only 20% efficiency. We will establish our own facility." Captain June raised his hand, waiting to be acknowledged. After a deliberate pause, Toral nodded at him. "The southern crater region has been under Japanese-Korean administration for 5 years, Captain June said politely. "The current operation employs 2,000 workers." "They will be reassigned," the VAR official replied without concern. "Human mining techniques are wasteful. We require these resources for Confederation projects." Captain June knew arguing was pointless. "Of course, we will cooperate fully." Later, as the human delegation prepared to return to Earth, Toral approached Captain June in the station's garden area. "You've served as liaison for 3 years now," Toral observed. "Your predecessor was more resistant to our guidance." Captain June bowed slightly. "We learn and adapt. Indeed, perhaps faster than we expected." Toral studied him with those large black eyes. "Some of my colleagues worry that we've shared too much technology with Earth. The technology you've shared has improved many lives," Captain June replied carefully. "We're grateful for the medical advances alone." "Gratitude is appropriate," Toral said. "Yet we notice certain resources go missing. Small amounts of specialized metals, power cells. Nothing significant individually, but a pattern exists." Captain June maintained a neutral expression. "I'll request an investigation immediately." "See that you do." Toral turned to leave, then paused. "Where is General Kim these days? She no longer attends space defense meetings." "Reassigned to administrative duties in Busan," Captain June answered smoothly. "Budget constraints required restructuring." Toral made a sound that might have been amusement. "Humans and their limited resources. How do you manage?" After returning to Earth, Captain June didn't go to his apartment in the diplomatic quarter. Instead, he took a series of trains and buses, eventually arriving at a small fishing village on the coast. He walked to the end of a pier where an old man sat repairing nets. "The tide turns at midnight," Captain June said. The old man nodded without looking up. "The boat beneath the blue tarp is yours." That night, 20 kilometers offshore, Captain June's small boat stopped above a seemingly random point in the ocean. He pressed a sequence into his watch. The water around the boat began to bubble, then parted as a platform rose from below. The platform lowered Captain June into an underwater tunnel. After passing through 3 security checkpoints, he entered a vast underwater complex. Hundreds of people worked at stations monitoring communications, developing technology, and coordinating global operations. In the central command room, General Kim stood looking at a large holographic display of the solar system. She had disappeared from public view 5 years ago, reportedly retired to care for family. "They're expanding their mining operations to the southern lunar craters," Captain June reported. "Expected," General Kim replied. "They've nearly depleted the northern region." Toral mentioned the missing resources. "They're starting to notice patterns." General Kim turned to face him. Her hair now had streaks of grey, but her eyes remained sharp and determined. "It doesn't matter now. We're past the critical point." She gestured to a younger officer. "Show him." The display changed to show a massive structure, hidden in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. "Aurora Station is 97% complete," the officer explained. "We've moved 22,000 personnel there in total. Power systems are fully operational. The shield technology reversed from their scanners works perfectly. They have no idea it exists." Captain June stared at the display in amazement. After 7 years of secret work, of enduring alien condescension while working toward this moment, they were almost ready. "And the fleet?" he asked. General Kim's face showed a rare smile. "Come see for yourself. The VAR Supreme Mining Corporation announced its plan on a Tuesday morning. All major news channels on Earth carried the broadcast. The alien spokesperson stood in front of a rotating hologram of Mars, certain sections highlighted in bright blue. "The Confederation has designated Mars as a priority resource center," the VAR official stated. "Earth's limited operations there will be replaced by our more efficient systems. This will benefit all Confederation members, including Earth." In reality, Earth would receive less than 5% of the resources extracted. The plan would also displace the 3,000 humans currently working at the Mars research bases. Director Park, now older with lines of stress around his eyes, sat in his office watching the announcement. An aide entered with a message tablet. "Sir, the public is responding. Protests have started in 50 major cities." Director Park nodded tiredly. "As expected. The VAR don't understand that humans value Mars beyond its resources. It represents our first steps into space. Outside government buildings worldwide, people gathered with signs and chants. Mars belongs to humanity. Respect Earth's territory." The protests remained peaceful, but the message was clear. This was one step too far. 3 days later, the United Earth Council met with VAR representatives to formally protest the decision. The meeting took place in the Grand Confederation Embassy in Geneva, a towering structure of alien design that dwarfed the human buildings around it. Director Park led the human delegation. "Mars has special significance to our people. We request the Confederation reconsider and allow joint operations." Ambassador Toral, now the senior VAR official for Earth matters, made the dismissive gesture that humans had come to recognize as contempt. "The decision is final. Your emotional attachment to a planet you've barely touched is irrational. The Confederation needs these resources." "Then increase our share of the extracted materials," Director Park countered. "Our current allocation is insufficient for our needs." "Your needs are assessed by Confederation standards," Toral replied. "The allocation is fair based on your contribution level." The meeting ended without resolution. As the Earth representatives left the embassy, reporters crowded around them. "What happens now?" one shouted. "Will Earth challenge the Confederation?" Director Park gave a careful response. "We continued diplomatic discussions. The United Earth Council remains committed to peaceful resolution." But that evening, something unexpected happened. Director Park didn't return to his residence. By morning, reports emerged that he couldn't be located. Government officials claimed he had taken a personal leave due to health concerns. 3 days later, Captain June also disappeared. The diplomatic corps reported he had been transferred to a different department, but no one could say which one. Within 2 weeks, 17 high-ranking Earth officials had mysteriously vanished. Some supposedly took sudden retirements. Others were said to be on extended medical leave. A few simply didn't show up for work, their homes found empty. The pattern was clear to anyone paying attention. Earth's leadership in space affairs was disappearing. The public grew increasingly anxious. Some feared the VAR were secretly removing troublesome humans. Others suspected something more was happening. The VAR noticed too. Toral called an emergency meeting with the remaining Earth officials. "These disappearances are concerning," Toral said, pacing the conference room. "If this is some form of protest, it is both ineffective and childish." "We're investigating," replied the acting director, a nervous man who had been suddenly promoted. Many of these individuals had high-stress positions. Perhaps the situation with Mars was too much pressure. Toral's black eyes narrowed. "Ensure you find them. The Confederation requires stable human leadership." But the disappearances continued. Lower-level officials began vanishing too, along with certain scientists and engineers, always people connected to space programs or advanced technology divisions. Public protests about Mars gradually diminished, as confusion about the disappearances took center stage. News programs speculated wildly about what was happening. Some claimed alien abduction. Others suggested a secret government program to protect key personnel from something terrible to come. The VAR increased surveillance of Earth's remaining space facilities. They found nothing unusual. In fact, activity seemed to be decreasing. Many projects appeared abandoned. Equipment sat unused. "They've given up," one VAR security officer reported to Toral. "Humans are accepting Confederation authority at last." Toral wasn't convinced. "Continue monitoring. Something doesn't feel right." 6 weeks after the Mars announcement, with preparations for the VAR mining operation well underway, the Confederation decided to make a statement. They would hold a formal ceremony on their orbital station to mark the official transfer of Mars to Confederation control. They invited Earth's remaining officials and broadcast the event globally. It would show everyone the new order. Mars belonged to the Confederation now, and Earth needed to accept its place. The ceremony was scheduled for exactly noon Earth time on the following Saturday. The VAR arranged for special observation platforms so humans could witness the event from Earth. It would be, as Toral described, a teaching moment for a species that needs to understand its position in galactic society. What the VAR didn't know was that this ceremony was exactly what General Kim and the Aurora project had been waiting for. For 7 years, they had prepared in secret, and now the Confederation had provided the perfect moment to reveal what humanity had really been doing all this time. As the VAR finalized their celebration plans, deep in the hidden Aurora station, General Kim addressed the gathered leadership of Earth's true space program. "The time has come," she told them. "Are we ready?" Director Park, very much alive and now dressed in a uniform no human on Earth had ever seen, nodded firmly. "Ready, General. All systems a go." The day of the ceremony arrived with clear skies over most of Earth. Millions of humans gathered at observation points, their faces turned upward. Many held small devices the VAR had distributed, which projected holographic views of the orbital station where the ceremony would take place. On the station, Ambassador Toral stood before representatives from 12 alien species. A small group of human officials sat quietly in the observer section, their expressions carefully neutral. Large windows showed Earth below and Mars in the distance, a red dot that would soon officially belong to the Confederation. Today marks a significant step forward in the orderly development of the Sol system, Toral began. For too long, this valuable resource has been inefficiently managed. Under Confederation guidance, Mars will reach its full potential. As Toral continued his speech, technicians on the lower deck noticed something unusual. Earth's orbital defense network, a simple system of satellites the VAR had allowed humans to maintain, suddenly went offline. "Ambassador," a VAR security officer interrupted through Toral's earpiece. "We have a situation." Toral paused, annoyed at the interruption. "Continue monitoring. I will finish the ceremony first." But before he could resume speaking, alarms began sounding throughout the station. The security officer's voice became urgent. "Massive energy signature detected between Earth and Mars. Unknown source." The gathered aliens turned toward the windows in confusion. At first they saw nothing unusual. Then a strange rippling effect appeared in the space ahead, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. The rippling intensified. Then, as if emerging from nowhere, a massive structure appeared. 15 kilometers across, the space station was shaped like a flattened disk with extended sections that resembled wings. Lights glowed across its surface, and smaller objects began emerging from docking bays around its perimeter. "What is that?" Toral demanded, his composure broken for the first time in 7 years. "Identify immediately," the security officer's voice shook. "Unknown technology, not in Confederation records. It was hidden somehow." A communication signal reached the VAR station, broadcasting simultaneously to all Confederation ships and to every screen on Earth. General Kim's face appeared, wearing a crisp, dark blue uniform with gold insignia that no one had seen before. "This is General Kim of the United Earth Space Command. Welcome to Aurora Station." Toral stared at the screen in disbelief. General Kim had supposedly retired years ago. "What is the meaning of this deception?" he demanded. "This violates all Confederation protocols." General Kim's expression remained calm. "No deception, Ambassador. Just a separate development path. While you monitored our public space program, you failed to detect what we built in secret." The camera view widened to show a command center filled with humans working at advanced stations. Many were faces that had disappeared over the past weeks. "Aurora Station houses 25,000 personnel," General Kim continued. "Scientists, engineers, military specialists, and their families. A self-sufficient habitat that has remained, undetected by your sensors for 7 years. On the VAR station, pandemonium broke out. Alien representatives demanded explanations. Security officers scrambled to assess the threat. Toral stood frozen, struggling to understand how this had happened. Under Confederation watch outside Aurora Station, more vessels emerged from hidden docks. Ships of various sizes formed a protective fleet around the station. Captain June appeared on screen, sitting in the command chair of the largest vessel. "The flagship Prometheus is operational," he reported. "All fleet vessels report ready, General." "Ambassador," Toral finally found his voice. "This is an act of aggression. The Confederation will not—" "This is an act of independence," Director Park interrupted, suddenly standing. The other human officials rose beside him. "Earth never agreed to surrender its solar system. We simply chose not to argue when we knew you wouldn't listen." Director Park walked forward, addressing not just Toral but all the alien representatives. "For 7 years you've treated humans as primitive, unworthy of respect. You've taken our resources and given little in return. You've restricted our access to technology while exploiting our world." "We monitored your ships," General Kim added, from the screen. "We studied the technology you didn't think we could understand. Then we developed our own. Aurora's cloaking system is unlike anything in Confederation records. Our propulsion technology takes a different approach than yours. Humans excel at finding new paths when the obvious ones are blocked." Toral looked from the screen to Director Park, his black eyes wide with shock. "Impossible. Your species couldn't—" "Couldn't what?" Director Park asked. "Couldn't keep a secret? Couldn't work together toward a common goal? Couldn't develop technology to rival yours? You underestimated humans at every turn, Ambassador. That was your first mistake." On Earth, people watched in amazement as Aurora Station became visible. In the sky, a new bright point of light between their world and Mars. Cheers erupted in observation areas worldwide as they realized what it meant. Humanity had not surrendered after all. The smaller ships from Aurora Station formed a protective line between Mars and the Confederation vessels. Their design was unlike either human or alien ships, representing a new hybrid technology. "We are not declaring war," General Kim stated clearly. "We are declaring our rightful place. The Sol system belongs to humanity. We will defend it if necessary." But we prefer peaceful cooperation on equal terms. Toral turned to his security officer. Assess their capabilities immediately. The officer worked frantically at his console, then looked up with an expression of disbelief. Sir, initial scans show technology levels matching or exceeding our own in several areas. Their power signature is unlike anything we've encountered. For the first time since arriving on Earth, the VAR ambassador found himself speechless. The humans he had dismissed for years as primitive had just revealed a technological achievement that had remained completely hidden from the Confederation's advanced detection systems. The ceremony is concluded, Director Park announced to the stunned aliens. But a new one begins. Today marks humanity's true entrance into galactic society, not as children to be guided, but as equals to be respected. 3 days after Aurora Station's dramatic reveal, a special meeting of the Galactic Confederation Council convened. For the first time, human representatives sat at the main table, not at the side as observers. Director Park led the Earth delegation, flanked by General Kim and Captain June. Across from them, Ambassador Toral and representatives from 11 other alien species sat in uncomfortable silence. The Grand Chamber aboard the Confederation flagship had never felt so tense. The council leader, an elder from a species called the Myth, opened the session. Unlike the VAR, the Myth had always been more measured in their assessment of humans. This council must address the situation in the Sol system, the council leader stated. The revelation of Aurora Station and its fleet represents an unprecedented development. Toral leaned forward. It represents deception. Humans concealed their true capabilities while pretending to accept Confederation guidance. Director Park remained calm. We concealed nothing that we were required to reveal. At no point did the Confederation ask if we were developing a separate space program. You simply assumed we weren't capable of it. Your people signed agreements limiting space development, Toral insisted. We signed agreements limiting the development you could see, General Kim corrected. Aurora was built using resources you never monitored and by people whose absence you never noticed. The council leader raised a hand for silence. The legal questions will be addressed separately. Today we must establish a new understanding. Director Park, please explain Aurora Station's capabilities. Director Park nodded and activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. A detailed image of Aurora Station appeared, rotating slowly. Aurora Station houses 25,000 permanent residents. It is entirely self-sufficient, with food production, manufacturing facilities and power generation that can operate indefinitely. The station's defensive capabilities include shield technology that makes it invisible to conventional sensors. How did you develop such technology? Asked a representative from a species known for their scientific achievements. By thinking differently, Director Park replied. When denied access to your propulsion systems, we didn't try to copy them. We developed our own approach. When blocked from your communication networks, we created alternatives. Necessity drove innovation. And your fleet? The council leader inquired. Captain June stepped forward. 47 vessels of various classes, all built in secret within Aurora, or in underwater facilities on Earth. Our flagship, Prometheus, carries defensive systems only, but they are sufficient to protect our interests in our solar system. The alien representatives exchanged troubled glances. What humans had accomplished in secret challenged everything they believed about developing species. You realize, Toral said, his voice tightly controlled, that this changes the strategic balance in this sector. The Confederation cannot allow unregulated technology to... The Confederation, Director Park interrupted firmly, has no authority to allow or disallow what happens in Earth's solar system. That is precisely what we are here to establish. Murmur ran through the alien representatives. The council leader called for order. What does Earth want? The council leader asked directly. Director Park stood. Full membership in the Confederation, with equal voting rights. Complete sovereignty over the Sol system. Fair trade agreements based on mutual benefit, not exploitation. And accountability for those who have misrepresented Earth's position within the Confederation. His gaze fixed on Toral, who stared back defiantly. After hours of tense negotiation, the Council reached a preliminary agreement. Earth would receive provisional full membership to be confirmed after a review period. The Sol system would be recognized as human territory. A committee would investigate how the VAR had managed Earth relations. As the formal session ended, Director Park stood in a corridor with General Kim, watching alien representatives hurry past them. For the first time in 7 years, the aliens looked at humans with something other than condescension. "They're afraid of us now," General Kim observed quietly. "Not exactly what we wanted," Director Park replied. "Respect would be better than fear." "Respect will come with time. Fear was necessary first. They needed to understand we wouldn't remain second class forever." Captain June approached with a data tablet. "Reports from Earth, Director. The public reaction is overwhelmingly positive. Aurora Station is visible from Earth now that we've deactivated the cloaking shield. People are celebrating worldwide." "And the VAR reaction?" Director Park asked. "Their home government is recalling Ambassador Toral. They're calling it a diplomatic rotation. But everyone knows it's punishment for missing what we were doing." Director Park nodded with quiet satisfaction. "Arrange transport back to Aurora. I want to see it properly myself now that we don't have to hide anymore." Later that day, aboard a shuttle approaching Aurora Station, Director Park stood at the viewport watching the massive structure grow larger. Without its cloaking activated, the station gleamed in the sunlight, a monument to human determination and ingenuity. General Kim joined him at the window. 25 years in space programs, and I've never seen anything so beautiful. "The beginning, not the end," Director Park said. "Aurora is just our first step." The shuttle docked, and they walked through the main concourse. Thousands of people went about their daily lives in this hidden city in space. Children who had grown up in secret, scientists who had worked for years without recognition, all part of humanity's greatest achievement. In the central plaza, a celebration was underway. People cheered as Director Park and General Kim entered. A young engineer approached them, her eyes bright with excitement. "Is it true?" she asked. "Are we really joining the Confederation as equals now?" "More than equals in some ways," General Kim told her with a small smile. "We've already surpassed them in certain technologies. And Aurora Station. Will we build more?" Director Park looked up at the vast curved ceiling that protected this piece of humanity among the stars. "Aurora was just the beginning," he said. "Now that we don't have to hide, imagine what humans can build together." As he spoke, screens around the plaza showed Earth rotating slowly below, beautiful and blue. For 7 years, they had worked in secret to protect it. Now they could finally take their rightful place among the stars, not as followers, but as pioneers charting their own course through the galaxy. The VAR and other aliens would need time to adjust to the new reality. Humans weren't the simple backward species they had believed. They were innovative, determined, and now undeniably powerful. The balance had shifted, and the future of human-alien relations would be written on very different terms than before. Director Park smiled as he watched people celebrating around him. The journey had been long and difficult, requiring sacrifices from everyone involved. But seeing Aurora Station acknowledged at last made every challenge worthwhile. Humanity had proven itself not through war or conflict, but through creativity, secrecy, and the unwavering belief that they deserved better than what the aliens had offered.